What's going on, guys? It's Snoo603 from Shustybang, and we are officially 22 days away from the official release of Battlefield 4. And today I want to talk about the second Assault DLC. So one of the things we wanted to do with our 30 Days to Battlefield 4 series was not just talk about Battlefield 4 and all the things we're seeing in the beta, and things that we hope to see, and whatever else just specifically about Battlefield 4. We also want to make this kind of reflection and talk about things in Battlefield 3 specifically, or how it can relate to what we think going to happen with Battlefield 4, but really just kind of tie in things with Battlefield 3. And today, what I specifically want to discuss is the first DLC for Battlefield 3, which is Back to Karkand, and what I'm anticipating planned from the first planned DLC in Battlefield 4, which is going to be Second Assault. It's basically going to be the same kind of DLC. It's going to be 4 new maps, and when I say new, I don't really mean they're new. They're going to be 4 maps picked from a previous version, in this case strictly from Battlefield 3, and they're going to kind of, not necessarily reimagine them, but definitely recreate them with the new engine in mind, and kind of give it like a, this is what we really wanted to do, but we couldn't because we didn't have the engine to do it. So, if you have not played Battlefield 3 and you're completely new to Battlefield 4, the first DLC that came from Battlefield 3, again, was called Back to Karkand. And what Back to Karkand gave us was 4 of the old maps from previous Battlefield games, made new again with the new game engine Frostbite 2, and they also gave us a new game mode. Well, not really a game mode, new game mode. It was brought back from another previous version. It was Conquest Assault. Just kind of a different variation on Conquest. Now, I never played any of these maps myself prior to Battlefield 3, so I don't know what they were originally like. But what I can say is I did really enjoy them when they came out for Battlefield 3. Thinking back on it and looking at it now with the knowledge that I do have about the Battlefield franchise, I think DICE's goal going into the Back to Karkand expansion was they wanted to give us something quote-unquote new while still maintaining a level of recognition. They wanted to keep the game fresh by adding maps in the game mode so that it just kind of expanded on it and added the variety, but they didn't want to give us anything too unfamiliar or too alien that it was like, okay, well, this doesn't really feel like Battlefield anymore. So what they did was they brought out 4 reimagined maps that were actually very, very similar to the vanilla maps that came out for Battlefield 3. They played roughly the same. They were roughly the same sizes and everything. They still felt new, that it felt like you were playing something different, but it wasn't so different that it felt different, if that makes any sense at all, and I hope it does. Like I said, they were able to maintain a level of familiarity and recognition that it still felt new, but at no point did you feel you were like completely out of your element and moving away from what Battlefield always had been about. And of course, adding the new game mode, same thing. They gave us Conquest Assault, which is just a variation of Conquest itself. So again, it comes down to give us something new that definitely feels different, but it's not so different that people are like, okay, well, this is not what I signed up for. I want to go back to what I have been playing for the past 3 or 4 months now, what I know and love. So, with all of that said, what specifically am I anticipating with Battlefield 4's first planned DLC, Second Assault? Again, Second Assault is going to be a reimagining of 4 multiplayer maps from Battlefield 3. Me personally, I really think we're going to see more of the same style maps that are going to be, similar to what we get for the vanilla maps in Battlefield 4, but we will see a much different game mode this time around. Here's my thought process on it. We want to keep the veterans of the game happy by keeping it familiar. That's why I think we're going to get maps that are similar to whatever the vanilla maps are that come out with Battlefield 4 on its initial release. They'll be kind of like the same feel to them, same sizes, same, kind of the same layouts and everything. Again, it's something new and fresh, but ultimately it's just kind of like almost like a reskin, like a glorified reskin. It's maintaining that balance of it's new, but it's familiar. When it comes to the game mode, like I said, I think this is going to be something very, very different because they want to keep the Battlefield vets happy, but they also still want to keep reaching out to other people that have not played their game before. And people looking in from the outside are probably thinking, oh, well, why would I want to get it when they just keep making all these DLCs with the same style maps and same sizes and the same game modes? They're a little different, but really they're just kind of the same thing. Yeah, I can understand that. So I actually think that Second Assault is going to be a good candidate for bringing in the new game mode Diffuse, and I use the term loosely when I say new, because Diffuse is very similar to other game modes that have existed in other games. And I know I'm going to say it, and some people are going to be pissed, but guys, you just have to get over the fact that it is extremely similar to Search and Destroy in Call of Duty. Now, I know Search and Destroy in Call of Duty, that's not where that game mode originated from. It was originally in Counter-Strike, and it may have even been in a game before that. It's not unique to Call of Duty. However, it is, without a doubt, a very, very popular game in the Call of Duty franchise. And that's okay. Just because they're bringing it to Battlefield does not mean it's going to change or ruin the game. It's just bringing us variety, and you guys should be thrilled about the thought of having an excess of variety in Battlefield, because it's going to make everyone have a better experience in the game mode that they want to play. Because people will, instead of settling for, well, I want a lot of points and I want to kill a lot of people, but I'm bored of TDM, so I'll just go to Rush and I'll get a ton of kills and I won't play the objective, or, you know, whatever. But giving them Diffuse, something like that, it's just such a very, very different game mode from what Battlefield has that, you know, again, people looking in from the outside are like, oh, wow, that's actually, like, that's something I can relate to because it's in other games I've played, and okay, well, you know what, maybe I'll give it a shot, because at least there's something there that I find familiar that I could get my feet wet in. I won't have to learn everything new from the get-go. I just have to kind of get used to the game, but at least I understand what the game mode is and what I need to do there, so I don't have to worry about that. It kind of cuts back the learning curve, and I think that's why you could see something like Diffuse being in the first one. Not to mention that a lot of the popular maps that they're talking about bringing back Op Metro in the second assault. So Diffuse would actually be really, really good in that map. I can envision it myself right now. I think it would be excellent. It's big, but not too big that it would work for a game mode like that. Alright guys, that's enough of me ranting and rambling. I hope everything I said makes sense. Now at this point, what I want to hear from you guys is, what do you think we're going to see when it comes to the Second Assault DLC for Battlefield 4? I know we're talking well in advance, but you can see where I went with this. The theme of the commentary was, we saw what they did with Battlefield 3, and we know that this is the DLC that they're bringing out for Battlefield 4. It's, as of now, it is the first planned DLC. And they're very, very similar to exactly what they're going to give us. But I threw my own spin on it as to how I think it could possibly be different. So again, they can, you know, continue to reach out to other gamers that are playing other games and try and bring them into the Battlefield franchise. So again, I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you later. For those that are fans of the Battlefield Friends show, as well as other shows by Hank and Jed and Johnny Ethko, you should head on over to their store and check out all of the awesome merchandise they have to offer. Hell, you can even have the Noobin Gang sing Happy Birthday to a Friend. It's all in the store, so head on over to take a look, or someone's going to throw ammo at your face.